Matt Canavan is the Senator representing Queensland beautifully in the federal parliament, and he's back where he belongs in Queensland right now. Plenty of things to talk about with him and the wonderful Nicholas Rees, who's the Lord Mayor of Melbourne. Nicholas, why are you dancing with the Moomba King and Queen?
Well, of course, that was big news in Melbourne today. Our Moomba monarchs there, Sammy, Jay and Katarina Metti, the Red Wiggle. Of course, Moomba is the biggest community festival in Australia. We're expecting 1.5 million people to turn up over the Labor Day long weekend. So, yes, I was at the crowning and there was a Colombian dancing band. There were African drums playing and we're all dancing, having fun. That's what we do in Melbourne, Paul. We have fun.
Well, and I know you're looking forward to the Formula One Grand Prix. Look, if you want to invite Matt and I to the Mayor's Lounge, we'll be there and certainly enjoy ourselves. Matt can pay his own way, not the taxpayer. All right, let's get to a whole bunch of stuff that we need to get to here tonight. Matt, let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about this option, which was offered up by Angus Taylor today, which was, hey, why not? Rather than playing the same game, if you say it's savings, but if we offer them, you say it's cuts, why not get in a room and try and work out where each can give other a little bit of cover to cut what is spending that, according to the intergenerational report, puts us in deficits for the next 40 years. But Chalmers says no.
Well, Paul, someone's got to do it. We desperately need a proper audit of the federal government spending. Keep in mind that just before COVID, the budget before COVID, we spent on your behalf in Canberra about $480 billion in that year. After COVID, the budget after COVID, this financial year, it'll be just shy of $780 billion. So government spending in Canberra has gone up by $300 billion a year, every year. This is every year it's being spent, $300 billion more. To put that into context for people watching at home, there are about 10 million households in Australia, so that's $30,000 a year per household since COVID. And of course, we did have spending go up for JobKeeper and keep things going during COVID. It just never came back down to more normal levels. It stayed up. And so there's been a clear need for this audit. We haven't done a proper audit since Tony Abbott was Prime Minister. It's about time. It seems to me the reaction from the Treasurer today is more an example of someone just rejecting an idea because it wasn't his, rather than thinking about what's best for the country. So I think it's a great idea that Angus has offered up. Let's do it. We're happy to get our hands dirty. But somebody, as I say, has to go through the budget line by line, given this massive excessive spending we've seen since COVID and given the impact that's had and delivering the highest interest rates and inflation in the developed world here in Australia.
I mean, look, Nick, you know what it's like, of course, to be a leader. And in federal politics, if you can get 66% of the population in one place, kind of helps. That's what people are saying when it comes to government reducing spending. The number one issue being foreign aid. But foreign aid's only $5 billion. And I've stated the case why the government would say that that's not the biggest area to cut. But would you think that there's a moment here when the government is so far in front, the opposition, yes, is so far behind, that there is an opportunity here to give each other a bit of cover to do to swallow some of the pills that maybe they wouldn't otherwise do?
Yeah, Paul, I mean, I would have liked to have seen the government give this idea more consideration than what it got today. Unfortunately, in the Canberra bubble, everything is viewed very cynically, and I don't know if there was a political strategy in this. I suspect there probably was a bit of that, but that doesn't mean it's not an idea that's worth looking at. So, yeah, I would have liked to see the government give it a bit more consideration. But it's not just this particular idea. There's other ways that we can get to bipartisan outcomes. When we have parliamentary committees, Matt Canavan there serves on a couple of them. They have people from different parties on them. And why don't they make more of an effort to form consensus positions on these tricky issues that have trade-offs, do have a cost or an impact, and see what brave ideas they can put forward.
Well, also, Matt, you had an absolute belter last week in Senate estimates when you were ripping into the finance minister who couldn't quite locate $30 billion. Frightening for anyone who saw it. But is that the level of disinterest that the government has, is that if you find a hole, they want to pretend that it's an illusion?
Well, look, just on what Nick just said, I've got one. Here's one I prepared earlier, Nick. I actually did lodge a Senate inquiry in the last sitting week to do just what you're saying. to have the Senate Economics Committee go through the budget, look at it line by line, do a proper audit, just what Angus is saying. So, look, we didn't get indication of support from the government. Unfortunately, we ran out of time in that Senate week to get to my motion, but it's sitting there waiting. So waiting for if the Labor Party backs it, Coalition backs it, we're in, baby. We'll get it going. But, on Senate estimates last week, I mean, what I was questioning the Minister for Finance about was a $50 billion or $48 billion blowout in existing programs. I was trying to get to the bottom of, well, where is that? Like, how did it get to $48 billion? And she was able to get up to close to 20 billion, so that was the 30 billion. Well, where's the other 30 billion, Minister? And she couldn't explain it. And so that's a big blowout. Keep in mind, this is a blowout in 6 months. So in April last year, ahead of the election, the government handed down its figures saying this is how much things are going to cost. They're the figures we used, the coalition used to develop our election costings. 6 months later, just before Christmas, the government said, actually, we got these things wrong to the tune of $48 billion. So this wasn't new decisions. It wasn't like, we're now going to spend money on more on defence, on buying these tanks, or we're going to spend money on aged care. This was just a blowout in what they'd previously estimated. And if you think the Bureau of Meteorology is making mistakes right now, you ain't seen nothing when you go through the Treasury Department in Canberra.